I moved to my right, and Aid's punch missed me. I jumped forward and spun around. "Lightning goo, lightning blast," I yelled as I sent lightning goo blast at Aid. The blast hit Aid and Aid hit the ground, falling backwards all covered in smoke and dust. I slowly walked up to Aid, and he just disappeared into thin air. I just kind of stood there for a few minutes. The fourth man did not attack me. Instead, he seemed to slump to my feet as if he fainted. When the colonel looked down, I saw the man wasn't a man, but a teenager. Black hair and unbelievably ugly with his Tomoko tattoos on his face. The kid looked up at me, gave a wink and ran off. The damn kid had tied a rope around my ankle. Before I had a chance to bend down and rip the rope off, the teenager and 6 others appeared out of nowhere, grabbed the rope and pulled. I went down like a house of cards, or our English names for the islands. As soon as I was on my back, I was dogpiled. Guys jumped down on his arms, his legs, and even held his head still. "Tie him down," the teen was yelling on top of the pile. "Get his arms quickly." There were 3 men on each arm, and I easily threw them off. Men were scrambling to keep me down while others were trying to beat my chest in with their weapons. "Damn! Hold him! Hold him!" the teenager kept yelling. I gritted his teeth as I prepared myself to hurt these so-called people, even though they could never be considered part of the human race. I didn't want to, but I had no other choice. I thought perhaps stabbing them in the foot. The wound won't leave permanent damage, but it'll disable them long enough for me to take control of the situation. I grabbed out my chakra blade weapon, and stood there ready to attack, and pulled down my plain pink mask. Time to end this once and for all. I turned on the chakra blade and shoved it hard into the creature on my right. The blade went into his stomach, and I pulled it up towards the head. There was blood spewing everywhere, and it was about time that these things had what was really coming to them. You don't just walk into a country and claim it as your own, and change everything, so for that a fracas must be killed, and in the most inhumane way possible. "Get off him! What are you doing?" Zoe yelled. I turned and looked at her as one of the things on me hit me in the face with its hike hitting my mask. I lifted the chakra up and cut off his right arm, then his left arm, with blood spewing everywhere. "That will teach you to hit someone more superior," I tormented just before I sliced of his head. The body parts went limp and fell to the ground, in a pool of blood. Zoe appeared in Spendilten's view, and she started pulling the men off by their shirts. She only used her right arm as her left one laid limp at her side. "Leave him alone. Stop it. He's white and that is evil," the aide teen yelled back. "We need to destroy him. He's a superhuman and a true New Zealander. He is just like me. And nothing like you scum of the earth," Zoe was yelling, but nobody was listening. She was trying her hardest to pull the men off, though it was rather useless. She was a 60-pound kid trying to pull off a 6-kilogram, 140-pound man. I did not want to show or in front of her. The decision, however, was not mine to make, as there was already lots of blood and gore around. Zoe kept tugging on the skirt of one of the men who had grabbed my head and held it down. The man was getting tired of the girl bothering him, and at the height of frustration, perhaps because he could not concentrate on holding me down with her distracting him, he threw a hand out and shoved her. The man had shoved her a bit too hard. Zoe fell back, and her injured arm, unable to control the movement, bent awkwardly behind her. There was a snap, then a horrible crunch. And when Zoe sat back up, she revealed her arm had snapped off from the elbow down. As a cope, I had seen some pretty gruesome scenes. Murders, hit and runs, rape, and I was able to hold his stomach and his anger for every act of violence he's seen. However, if there was one thing that I could not tolerate, was violence against children and racist attacks. To be continued.